Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the January 17th, 2024 meeting of the Gaithersburg Planning Commission. I hope you all are staying warm tonight. We have first of all, Sharon Control will be joining us on the dais this evening as acting as a regular commissioner tonight, as we have one of the regulars missing. So with that, we have 4 minutes, and I think I understand correctly we can just make one motion for all 4. No objection to that? Okay. Is there a motion, please?
Mr. Chair, I move that we approve the minutes of October 18th, 2023, November 15th, 2023, December 6th, 2023, and January 3rd, 2024, as presented in the record.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? That passes unanimously.
Nice.
Huh?
Nice.
Okay.
4 items. We're down to 4.
All right, you're going to love the next one then. We have a consent agenda tonight, and there are 2 items. One is AFP 96862-2023, Silver Diner Pergola for outdoor dining at 9811 Washingtonian Boulevard in the MXD Mixed-Use Development Zone, and AFP-9716-2023, construction of a 340-square-foot sunroom at 102 Longdraft Road in the R90C Medium-Density Residential Cluster Zone. Both of those are an amendment to final site plans. Are there any questions on the consent agenda for staff?
No, very straightforward.
All right, is there a motion, please?
Mr. Chair, I move that we approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That passes unanimously. All right. Next up is our one item to stop and spend some time with tonight, and that's a recommendation to Mayor and Council on X-9683-2023 petition to annex Parcel P940 located on South Frederick Avenue between O'Neill Drive and I-370, the Casey property, and assign CD zoning. And this is for recommendation to Mayor and City Council. And presenting from staff is Laura McHugh. Good evening, Laura.
Good evening. Hello.
And the team is getting here just in time, it appears.
Good evening, Commissioners. This is a recommendation on annexation petition X9683-2023 for the Casey property located on South Frederick Avenue between O'Neill Drive and I-370 and shown on your screen here. The petition was introduced at the December 4th, 2023 Mayor and Council meeting, and there are currently 19 exhibits in the record. The Planning Commission's role in the annexation process is to determine whether the proposed zoning is appropriate, whether the annexation plan complies with the city's master plan, and whether adequate public facilities exist to serve the annexed area. Staff notes that the annexation petition precedes any development reviews. So as you'll see in the applicant's presentation this evening, and as discussed in the staff report, the applicant has plans for a phased redevelopment of this site and adjacent parcels. That will be part of a separate review process in the future. So tonight it's just the petition to annex the property into the city. And I will now turn it over to the applicant's team to give their presentation.
Still catching my breath.
Good evening.
There's a mad sprint over ice. Good evening. Bob Dalrymple with Selzer Gervich, here for the applicant, Casey Foundation. With me tonight from the Casey Foundation is Donna Sheehan and Drew Horman, and also Gary Unterberg with Rogers Consulting. So we do have a PowerPoint presentation, and I suggest that we can try to go over it pretty quickly and then circle back to any specific issues you have, but we want to make sure that we're meeting our burdens moving forward. So this is a proposed annexation. The Casey Foundation owns 2 properties in the northwest quadrant of Maryland 355 and I-370. And one of the properties is developed with the Rosemont Apartments. And that property's already in the city of Gaithersburg. The adjacent property to the south of that is a vacant parcel that is about 5.25, I believe, acres, and that is in Montgomery County. The Rosedale Apartments have long served the public as affordable housing units. We like to say that they're naturally occurring affordable. They're unregulated units. But by choice, the Casey organization has kept the rents low to maintain the affordability of those units. The units have become somewhat dated and are in need of replacement. And as part of the analysis for replacing those units, the Casey Foundation took into consideration the adjacent undeveloped property to see if maybe a larger project could evolve out of that. Decision was made to combine the properties, which meant that we either seek our regulatory entitlements, half from the county, half from the city, or we come to the city. And we wanted to come to the city, and so far the city has greeted us quite well. So that's the purpose for the annexation. The intent would be, Gary, can you go to slide 5, I think it is?
This one or the next one?
Do you want to start at the beginning? Do you have a presentation? Do you want to go ahead and just do that and kind of get through it, or are you just picking out?
Yeah, I'm almost there. We're going to turn it over to Donna and then
Fair
Gary.
enough.
And yeah.
Which slide are you looking for, Bob?
Let's just go to slide 10. So the benefit of having both of these properties together and coming into the city is that we can phase there you go. We can phase the development such that there will be no displaced tenants by phasing it in the manner you see on this slide. The vacant property can be developed first, move tenants over to the new units, and then proceed with phases 2 and 3, and Gary can get into that in greater detail. So the property is within the maximum expansion limits of the city, and we can cover all that in greater detail as we go along as well. And at this point, I'd like to turn it over to Donna so that she can tell you a little bit more about the foundation and their mission here.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Yeah.
Good
Hi, I'm
evening.
Donna Sheehan with the Eugene B. Casey Foundation. And just a very brief history. The foundation was created by Mr. and Mrs. Casey in 1981. When he passed, he left the majority of his estate to it in 1986, and Mrs. Casey ran it for the last 30-some years, doing some amazing projects around the Washington metropolitan area. And she passed in August of 2022 and has left a lion's share of her estate to the foundation. So the foundation, the Rosedale Apartments is part of that. That was an asset that she owned personally, and it's now been transferred into the foundation. And in evaluating the condition of the apartments, like Bob said, they need to be updated. And so this project came about. So, and the mission of the foundation is to contribute to causes that generate, well-being for the community, primarily health and education, community resources. I mean, we've done some in the arts and education as well. The environment as well. So we're excited about this project. Not only updating the apartments for the current tenants, but also being able to provide more.
Your turn, Gary.
So,
Don't let us down.
good evening, Gary Unterberg with Rogers Consulting on this cold evening, and Bob and Donna have stolen some of my presentation, but we'll keep it relatively short. On the slide is in red is the 5.25 acres, which is in the county right now. And you can see where it's along 370, access is off Route 355. It's adjacent to the Rosedale Apartments. This, as we zoom in, this is the 5+ acres we're discussing that's in the county, which is off of O'Neill Drive. There's a traffic light at 355 with O'Neill. The apartments, this is Rosedale Apartments. There's roughly there are 3 buildings, roughly 90 units, and south of Nancy Place, which is both are public city roads. South of Nancy Place, there's another 3 buildings, and roughly 90 units and 102 units. There's 192 existing apartments, and hopefully after the annexation later this year, we'll be back in front of the city talking about a combined CD zoning and schematic development plan for a comprehensive project. And it's more of a tease because we're not going to be going into those details tonight. This again is the area to be annexed, the meets and bounds, the 5.25 acres. It does abut I-370. The state owns the stormwater management pond in the frontage, and 355 is a state road, 370 is a state road, and then O'Neill Drive is a city road. You can see it's a larger right-of-way with a smaller 2-lane road, and then Nancy Drive connects over to the parking lot, which is the city's property, the Casey Community Center. Does abut the city. Bob will be going into the city's master plan and is within their expansion limits. Actually, go back. There's up and down 355. There are a number of bus stops. There's a future bus rapid transit station, which I think you've heard about with the annexation that was across the street, a little bit north of us, which is right here at Westland Drive, a couple blocks north of the Rosedale Apartments. This is a sketch from the illustration from the sketch plan. We're generally looking to do apartment buildings that would be along O'Neill in the yellow. We're looking big picture that to be defined later, but there'd be roughly 3 buildings with surface parking. The goal is to replace the garden apartments with surface parking in kind. And we'd be adding units, not only with the zoning for the CD zoning for the part to be annexed, but approximately the other 10 acres, that's the existing apartments right now. And then we'd look to buffer along 370 and then hide or bury the parking in the rear of the building, so we could create community in the future. Bob mentioned the phasing, and just number-wise, we're looking, the density on the annexation complies with the city zone, or the county zoning. We could do more density here, but which is outlined in the annexation, but we're looking, again, to restrict ourselves with that garden apartment typology, and ultimately with all 3 phases it would be in the 500 unit range, roughly 150 units to 175 units per phase. So for instance, it's going backwards, but phase 3 right now there's roughly 90 units. Phase 2 there's 102 existing units, so that 192 number. So the opportunity is to relocate and work with the existing residents so they're not kicked out. So, and we had a meeting in September with the residents, 2 meetings, one with the residents specifically, where actually we had over roughly 100 people come out and was well received, answered a lot of questions for the current tenants. But once we build roughly, and again the numbers will change within the parameters of the zoning, but if we build 150 units on phase 1, then we have the opportunity to move the 102 residents from phase 2 to phase 1. And then likewise, if we replace phase 2 with about 150 units, the opportunity to move the residents from phase 3 either to phase 1 or phase 2, depending on their preference and situation. So the goal is to not displace anyone, to add units to the housing resource, and ultimately that will be determined later in the year as we come back with those specifics. Bob, I think it's back to you to get into the findings and the specific questions.
Okay, again, I'll go through these fairly quickly. There's a lot of text up on the screen. You can feel free to read it, or I'll try to summarize them and not read from it. But you know, the Planning Commission's role in this is to make specific findings, you know, relative to the appropriateness of the zoning, compliance of the annexation plan with the city's master plan, and a determination as to whether the annexation can be provided with adequate facilities. As Gary was just describing, the zoning between the county, where the property is zoned CRT, which is a commercial residential town zone, and the city's zoning of CD, which is both the master planned proposed zoning for the city site and the annex property, and the zoning that we're asking for upon annexation to the city. The zones are very similar. They both allow a mix of uses at roughly the same densities, and I think it's pretty easy to quickly determine that the zones are very comparable. The Planning Commission, Montgomery County Planning Board, will be taking this up next week, I believe, and their staff is recommending the finding of consistency, which would actually bypass the county council and have it come to you without any request for a 5-year moratorium on zoning, which could be the case if zoning is inconsistent, but it's not inconsistent in this case. So my understanding from Council President Friedson's office is that notwithstanding the recommendations that will be coming to them, they're going to put it on the council agenda as well, simply to pass a resolution of some sort to say the council agrees with this annexation and is fully supportive of the proposal. The master plan compliance, I think we satisfy all of the elements of the master plan. As we indicated, it is within the maximum expansion limits of the city. It's also recommended in the county's master plan for annexation into the city. So I think we're check in that regard. We meet a lot of the housing, all of the land use and housing elements of the plan. And in particular, the affordable housing goals and objectives. The current, the naturally occurring affordable housing is meeting the incomes of about 40 to 60% of the area median income. With these units, the new units being regulated units, subject to the IRS guidelines, 75% of the units will be restricted affordable between the range of 50 to 80% of the area median income. The remaining 25%, and I think the intention is to be to aim for the lower part of that, but there will be a range of income levels, so we can really meet all of those levels of affordability, all the way from 50% up to a market rate. And the remaining 25% will be left to be market units to allow residents who are doing well and increasing in their income, but who don't want to move out, not to have to be kicked out because they can't meet the guidelines anymore. I think it checks the box of the city's 2022 strategic plan, both in economic development goals, the goal to upgrade older projects that are in need of a boost, and again, the mix of housing types and affordability. The transportation elements of the plan, as Gary indicated, we are providing for bus service along the frontage of the property as part of the transit corridor's functional plan, and also service along Maryland 355 and the Flash BRT service. So I think we're hitting those transportation objectives of the plan. And the annexation, the third leg of this is that the annexation will be served by the public facilities. We will demonstrate that more at the SDP level when we're doing the APF studies for traffic and schools, but all things are looking positive on both of those fronts. And again, with the Maryland 355 serving the property and the transit availability, we think we're good along those lines. Water and sewer categories, S1, W1, so no issues there. And the 10-minute availability of fire and emergency vehicles is met with several different fire stations and emergency service. So with that, again, I think that we should be through the county's processes in the next several weeks, and then back to you for a recommendation to the mayor and council, which we hope is favorable. And we think this is a great project, one that truly does serve the public. And the Casey Foundation's a wonderful organization. It's really my pleasure to be able to work with them. And to bring this level and this many affordable units in a manner that, the Casey Management, Casey Foundation, they maintain their properties extremely well, as you probably already know. So I think there's a real bright future for this part of the city going forward, and we would ask for your support.
Great, thank you. Is that the end of the presentation?
That's
Okay.
it, unless you want us to do it all over.
No. Commissioners, any questions for the applicant's team?
Petition, you want to start?
I'm
Yeah, just a quick clarification. So in the requested annexation agreement terms, it's 50 to 60% of AMI. I know your slide said 50 to 80, but I think you undersold your public good if that's a typo in your slide, and the annexation terms are corrected 50 to 60 AMI for 75% of the units.
That is correct. I think
Yeah.
that the IRS guidelines allow that range of 50 to 80. So you
Right.
can still meet your goals for taxation purposes above the 60, but I think it's the intent to aim for that 50 to 60.
Great.
And
So
in
the
the
terms
agreement
you're
will say it,
presenting,
yeah.
Yeah, the terms you're presenting are 50 to 60%, which is fantastic.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm crowing, not, not,
Thank you.
but that's great. It's phenomenal public good. So it's kind of exciting.
Any other questions?
No question.
Greg, in my viewer, I don't have that little panel that shows any Zoom folks. Is anybody on?
There are people online, so we would run the
Okay,
video.
so tech team, would you please play the video about commenting online?
Good evening. If you've connected to the meeting tonight via Zoom and you're on a desktop or a laptop and you wish to make a public comment, we can't currently see or hear you. What you need to do, please, is wiggle your mouse around and look towards the bottom center of your screen. You should see a raise hand button. Go ahead and click on that now for us, please. Alternatively, if you've connected in via telephone, you can press *9.
Perfect. Okay, well, we're waiting to see who raises their hands. Is anyone here to testify or comment on this? Okay, I only see one person, so I get the no. Thank you. Anybody, hands up?
No hands were up.
Okay, we'll give them another minute to do that. In the meantime, Laura, do you want to read the staff recommendation, please?
Sure. Staff is supportive of the annexation petition and recommends that the Planning Commission defer their recommendation for 14 days to receive public comments until 5 p.m. on Wednesday, January 31st, 2024, and provide a formal recommendation on the annexation petition and plan on Wednesday, February 7th, 2024.
Okay. Just to recap, I mean, on the face of it, this seems like a really good proposal. There's very little to not like about it. However, I want to just kind of pick your brain for a minute. Is there anything on the technical side that has staff concerned developing this site? Anything that's come up from Public Works? Anything that's come up from planning group and specifically, or anything that's...
No, and we're really not at that stage yet. That would
Okay.
come subsequent to this process when they come in for a rezoning of the existing 2 parcels and an SDP. At that point, then we would have
A little more careful.
plans to actually look at to review
Okay,
any issues.
but just sort of at a macro level.
At a
based
macro
on-
level, no.
Okay, perfect. Any concerns from the commissioners?
The infrastructure there is phenomenal. It's like we built the road, the light, everything else for this property, 20 years ago. So it's just phenomenal. So
And the shopping center is going through a major revamp too, so it's going to be a nice amenity
Yeah.
for the people to live
And
in.
you're almost doubling
Perfect fit.
affordable housing
Yeah.
in the city, which is
Fantastic.
stupendous, which is great.
Any with their hands up?
No.
Nobody?
Nope.
Okay. So procedurally, what do we need to do? A motion to defer or just not do anything?
A motion to defer your recommendation for
Okay.
14 days.
Anybody have any concerns with that?
No.
All right, well then is there a motion, please?
Mr. Chairman, I move that the Planning Commission defer the recommendation for 14 days to receive public comments until 5 p.m. on Wednesday, January 31st, 2024, and provide a formal recommendation on the annexation petition and annexation plan on Wednesday, February 7th, 2024, 61 days prior to the public hearing scheduled on April 1st, 2024, the Mayor and City Council meeting.
Okay.
second.
It's moved and seconded. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That passes unanimously. And for anybody looking in, watching, or seeing this at some point in the next few days, there are 14 days for you to enter comment and testimony on this particular item within the Planning Commission's review. The record will be open for the council's review or council's
Yes.
consideration until April 1st, Or through April 1st, I guess.
Well, the
we'll-
record, that's just when the public hearing is.
Okay, so
there'll
there'll be another
record after
opportunity
that.
for a public hearing on April 1st, plus probably some time after that to
Yes.
enter additional comments. So if you're just finding out about this and it's after tonight, don't worry, you still are welcome to submit either through written testimony or the public hearing will be happening in April. So that's that. All right, thank you so much.
Great.
Great.
Great, thank you.
Well, that's it for our, regular business tonight. So let's go to from the commission. Phil, can you start with you?
Yep, nothing for me this evening.
Okay, Matt?
Nothing for me.
Lloyd?
Commend Public Works again for doing a great job with the snow that we had for the first time in 2 years, with more to come possibly. But again, the city's fantastic when it comes to clearing the streets and getting out and doing the job.
Lloyd Street always gets first.
Well, that's,
Yeah.
Why is that?
Why is that? It's
Little
coincidence.
tip envelope taped to the mailbox.
Smart man.
All right, great. Anything else? Let me jump in and mention, Sharon, this is your last meeting tonight.
It's my last
correct?
meeting tonight, I
Okay.
was going to say that.
And you've been dutifully serving as the alternate, although we've had enough folks that have had to duck out on meetings. You've been a pretty regular presence here, and we sincerely appreciate that.
Thank you.
And wish you luck in all adventures and endeavors yet to come. But
Thank you.
thank you so much for your service.
Good, thank you.
Good luck in the future.
Thank you.
I apologize if we don't have Danny here, who's our soft heart, and he would
Yeah,
he would be
he's so good at this, I know.
Yeah, he would be
You're very good at it.
singing your
He's
praises,
really
but not that John did too bad a job, but it's not Danny.
He would be, he'd
Yeah.
be very,
Yeah.
He'd have us all in tears by now.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah,
Oh
I
yeah.
was going to say romantic, but that sounds
Yeah.
like a weird word, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Fair enough. But anyway, thank you. And
Oh,
good
you're
luck.
welcome, thank you. Great group
and
of people
did
to
you-
work with. I really appreciate
Go ahead,
everything.
sorry, yeah.
No, I just really appreciate everything you've done. I've learned a lot. Great team of people. Greg's phenomenal to work with, as is John and the rest of the staff. And, of course, you guys.
You guys.
Really appreciate everything you've taught me, and you'll see me again, don't worry.
Excellent. Excellent. All right. Greg?
I just have a few dates. Our next meeting is February 7th. There are 2 work sessions on your agenda for both for Retool. The first is February 26th. The other one is March 11th. And then just to remind everyone that the final draft for those work sessions are going to be released to the public February 2nd. And that is all I have tonight.
Great, thanks.
So the only thing I have is to thank Sharon for her awesome service to the city and wish you every best for your exciting future ahead, and you will be missed.
Oh, thank you.
So,
That's it, okay. Rob, anything tonight? Okay, you're just here as a spectator. All right. Frank, anything tonight?
No.
Okay. Great, thanks. Well, if that's all we have a good evening, and we are adjourned.